Leading the Nightline tonight, Premier Datuk Tan Sri ABANG JOHARI expresses indifference over the number of state seats, whether it is maintained at 82 or increased to 99. The state government has done its due diligence to endorse the increase after it was passed by the State Legislative Assembly, DUN. Following several pushes from both the state and federal governments, he says he will now let the Election Commission EC carry out its duties responsibly.
Kami saya ada masalah. Punya 82, 82 punya 99, 99 lah. Saya ada masalah. Kerana semestinya kita election pakai 99, masa saya ada window-nya very tight. What can you do? We just follow the present one. Saya ada masalah.
His remarks come after Communications Minister Datuk Sri Fahmi Fadzil said the Election Commission had been asked to provide an updated report on the proposed additional seats following instructions from Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. On a different note, ABANG JOHARI says the date for the next Sarawak state election has yet to be decided. On the current haze in Sarawak, he described it as temporary and not yet a concerning level. However, he urged the public to remain vigilant, particularly as the region braces for the El Niño phenomenon. Sarawak is looking to turn LUNDU, SEMATAN and SABAL into post-treatment recovery destinations as the state expands its healthcare and medical tourism ecosystem. Premier Datuk Tan Sri ABANG JOHARI says healthcare development should go beyond hospitals and treatment, as well as include environments that help patients recover. Hence, LUNDU and SEMATAN, with their coastal setting, could offer patients a tranquil environment for recovery after treatment.
What is important is post-treatment. They are there to get post-treatment. You know, with good sea, breeze, and other social amenities for patients to recover from their sickness. We are developing our infrastructure in terms of accommodation and facilities. This includes one area called LUNDU SEMATAN, facing the sea. If the patient wants to enjoy the sea, they can come there and get the recovery process from their treatment. If they like the forest, they go to SABAL. We are having under the SA5 forest accommodation with 100 beds in the forest. In SABAL. In other words, your patient can enjoy the sea, your patient can enjoy the monkey in the forest. In other words, the facilities are there to provide post-treatment.
ABANG JOHARI reveals the potential is growing as Sarawak attracted more than 100,000 medical tourists in 2025. He says many visitors come not only for medical treatment, but also to experience the state's natural and tourism offerings. Sarawak's strategic location in the heart of ASEAN, together with improving infrastructure and accommodation, could further boost the state's medical tourism sector. On to the next development. Syrian recorded Sarawak's highest air pollutant index, or API, reading at 182 this afternoon as haze continued to blanket parts of the state. Samarhan and Kuching followed with readings of 164 and 163. Holmuka and Sibu recorded 157. Other areas in the unhealthy category included Bintulu, Sarike, Sri Aman and Samalaju. Schools in Sarawak have been urged to continuously monitor air pollutant index or API readings in their respective areas amid the transboundary haze currently affecting the state. Sarawak Education Department says all education institutions under its purview had been instructed to postpone all outdoor activities if the weather was too hot. It said in areas where API readings exceeded 100, all outdoor activities involving students must be suspended. Meanwhile, high-risk groups, particularly individuals with respiratory conditions such as asthma, are advised to exercise greater caution amid hazy conditions affecting several areas in Sarawak. Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dr. Sim Pui Hian says individuals in high-risk groups should avoid outdoor activities even before authorities issue an alert on unhealthy air quality.
When you're Haze, those with respiratory disease are the first canal. So if you have asthma or those things, then you don't wait until that level, then you stop your outdoor activities. And during the Haze time, always should drink enough water, stay hydrated, and so on. So this is not the first time we have Haze, but unfortunately we cannot choose our neighbor. We cannot choose all this. So we just, with the climate change, you expect this going to be a lot worse.
Sim, who is also the Minister of Public Health, Housing and Local Government, says individuals engaging in outdoor activities, including jogging, need to be aware of air quality levels and comply with instructions issued by the authorities. He also reminds the public to seek information and official announcements from the Sarawak Disaster Management Committee, SDMC, and comply with the instructions issued for their safety and well-being. Sarawak is expanding access to cancer treatment technology and expertise from Guangzhou through a collaboration between WeCare Asia and Modern Cancer Hospital Guangzhou. State Deputy Premier Dr. Sim Pui Hian, in his speech delivered by MBK's Mayor Dr. Wee Hong Seng, says the initiative benefits patients while strengthening knowledge and expertise among Sarawak's healthcare professionals.
This strategic cooperation is not only beneficial to patients but also provide valuable opportunity for the healthcare community in Sarawak. Through professional exchange, medical seminar, training program, research cooperation, and knowledge sharing initiative, healthcare professionals in Sarawak will have greater opportunity to learn from our international experts, exchange their clinical experience, and stay abreast of the latest development in cancer treatment and medical technology.
He adds that Modern Cancer Hospital Guangzhou offers a comprehensive approach to cancer treatment, including 18 minimally invasive treatment technologies. These include DEP-TACE, combined knife therapy, and particle implantation therapy, as well as approaches that combine traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, with Western medicine.
Compared with the conventional cancer treatment, this technology are able to target the cancer cell with greater precision, resulting in fewer side effects, faster recovery, and minimal damage to the surrounding health issue.
He says the technology sharing is also supported by knowledge exchanges, professional training, medical seminars, and research collaboration between Guangzhou experts and healthcare professionals in Sarawak. The collaboration also gives Sarawak's healthcare professionals greater opportunities to keep up with the latest advancements in cancer treatment and medical technology. At the same time, the partnership allows cancer patients in Sarawak greater access to information, treatment options, and international expertise through the WeCare Asia network.
Welcome back. The US's CIA has reportedly established a secret task force in Cuba as it tries to put pressure for political and leadership change, dismantle its communist system, and counter strategic alignments with US adversaries like China and Russia. Our correspondent from RT International, Caleb Malpin, with more.
It's all over mainstream media that the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency is now setting up a task force in Cuba. You see, that's how super-secret, covert government intelligence operations are carried out. You announce them on TV ahead of time. Well, the lack of secrecy here makes sense. Everybody knows the CIA has been trying to destabilize Cuba for decades. The Cubans are not surprised.
The intentions here are no surprise, since Cuba has long been the target of CIA efforts at espionage, subversion and destabilization, including terrorism.
The Trump administration has certainly doubled down on the standard rhetoric against Havana that has saturated Washington for years.
Cuba right now is a country that is about to be a failed state because of the communist policies of the past several decades. Communism should never be allowed to lead this country, and the president obviously is strictly opposed to it and all the dangers that it reaps.
The people who are in charge of the country don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They don't know how to fix their economy. They don't know how, they don't understand basic concepts. And I think the challenge that Cuba has faced for the last 15 years is they want to somewhat improve their economy, but they're afraid that if they improve it too much, they'll lose political control over people.
This is nothing new. The United States tried to overthrow the Cuban government in 1961 with the Bay of Pigs invasion. That didn't go so well.
It is clear that the invasion operation was based on the hope that the brigade would be able to maintain itself in Cuba long enough to prevail by attracting insurgents and defectors from the Castro armed services, but without having in advance any assurance of assistance from identified, known, controlled, trained and organized guerrillas. The agency hoped the invasion would, like a deus ex machina, produce a shock which would cause these defections.
After the Bay of Pigs invasion came Operation Mongoose.
Agreed that U.S. policy toward Cuba should aim at the downfall of Castro, and that since the measures agreed below are not likely to achieve this end, the matter should be reviewed at intervals with a view to further action.
Since then, it's been a string of failures for the United States, with some proposals that are downright terrifying. Operation Northwoods, for example, involved a proposal for carrying out a series of false flag attacks to drum up public support for invading Cuba. They talked about making it look as if Cuba had shot down a civilian airplane. Another proposal included sinking a boat full of Cuban refugees and blaming it on Fidel. Then the idea was to go ahead and engage in some rather elaborate deception, stage fake funerals with a fake casualty list, and involve the media in an elaborate scheme. They were even thinking of blaming Fidel Castro and the Cuban government if the U.S. Mercury flight in 1962 failed to come back to Earth. And there was another operation, ironically named Operation Dirty Trick. Here were the particulars.
The objective is to provide irrevocable proof that should the Mercury manned orbit flight fail, the fault lies with the communists et al. Cuba. This is to be accomplished by manufacturing various pieces of evidence, which would prove electronic interference on the part of the Cubans.
The plotting wasn't all on a large scale. One proposal involved trying to drive a wedge between Cuba and the Soviet Union by messing with sugar exports.
Through a clandestine operation which was not detected and is not traceable, we were able to contaminate 800 of these sugar bags with a chemical used in the alcohol denaturation process while the bags were in the warehouse and before they were reloaded on the vessel.
Fabian Escalante, the founder of Cuban intelligence, actually wrote a book called 634 Ways to Kill Fidel. Some of the plots were particularly outrageous. They tried to poison him with a milkshake, and they tried to plant a bomb in a seashell. In 1960, when Fidel Castro visited the United States, his shoes were laced with a special kind of salt intended to make his beard fall out. The hope was that Fidel would be so distressed by the loss of his beard that he would reach for the nearest cigar, a cigar that had been laced with poison. U.S. operations against Cuba have taken some unique and elaborate turns. For example, during the 1990s, the U.S. government funded the island's hip-hop and punk rock music scene. The idea was to try and manipulate it and turn it into an anti-government protest movement. And we still have no idea what was behind that mysterious Havana syndrome that prevented U.S.-Cuba relations from becoming really solid after respective embassies were finally opened up under Obama.
The sound pressure intensity levels of the recorded and audible sounds are not, by themselves, the cause of reported long-term harm. We believe the recorded sounds are mechanical or biological in origin, rather than electronic. The most likely source is the Indies short-tailed cricket.
So yes, now the United States is sending in the CIA to work against the Cuban government. Meanwhile, we've got the Cubans yawning and saying, oh boy, we've never dealt with that before. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.
Iran is currently under heavy scrutiny worldwide after publishing a video of its current supreme leader, Mujtaba Ali Khamenei, following reports that his health was deteriorating rapidly. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump continues his tirade against Iran, this time applying economic pressure, a new strategy after the US failed to topple the Iranian government through military means. More on these developments with Yusuf Shukri.
Thank you, Cheryl. Following recent reports and public scrutiny on Iran's current supreme leader, Mujtaba Ali Khamenei, whose health is allegedly deteriorating, Iran, through the semi-official Mehr news agency, published a video of Mujtaba surrounded by several people and apparently speaking to them. Mehr did not specify when or where the video was recorded, nor did it identify the people accompanying him. However, the video sparked various debates online, with some saying it was AI-generated or that it is an old video published back in March. Nevertheless, Mehr reported that Mujtaba on Sunday met with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who is beginning his third year in office. Their meeting addressed the current challenges facing Iran, including public livelihood needs and the military conflict with the US, as well as, quote, economic interaction with foreign partners. Now, negotiations between Iran and Oman regarding transit through the Strait of Hormuz are progressing smoothly and constructively. According to the former Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baqi, an understanding has been reached about the shipping traffic map, and consultations are continuing to finalize some technical points in the joint statement. Mechanisms will be established to ensure safe maritime traffic, protect the environment, and address maritime crimes. He also emphasized provision of maritime services to vessels. Related costs and fees are charged. The spokesman reiterates the primary objective of the ongoing talks between Tehran and Muscat is to reach a lasting understanding that ensures complete security in the strait. Discussions with Oman are just a bilateral process to determine the safe route of international shipping and have nothing to do with political differences, he adds. And Baqi also asserted that the Strait of Hormuz will not reopen until Washington meets Tehran's demands, including an end to its naval blockade of Iranian ports. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian appointed former Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps IRGC commander Mohammad Razai as secretary of the country's top security body, the Supreme National Security Council. The announcement was broadcasted on a state news, IRINN.
رهبر معظم انقلاب اسلامی در حکمی آقای دکتر محسن رضایی را به عنوان نماینده خود در شورای عالی امنیت ملی منصوب کردند.
The decision came shortly after Iran's supreme leader Mujtaba Khamenei appointed Razai as his representative to the council, citing his experience and role during the 1980 to 1988 Iran-Iraq War. Razai commanded the RIGC from 1981 to 1997. He also serves as a member of Iran's Expediency Discernment Council, an assembly that resolves differences between Parliament and the Guardian Council, a 12-member body that vets candidates for office as well as legislation. He was appointed as a military advisor to Iran's supreme leader in March. Separately, Khamenei appointed Zolgar as his political advisor. The changes come as Iran is engaged in a military conflict with the US following a joint US-Israeli offensive against Tehran in February. In other development, US President Donald Trump on Sunday signaled that he is prepared to rely on mounting economic pressure on Iran rather than immediately launching a new military offensive. Trump says Washington is, quote-unquote, only semi-negotiating with Tehran while closely monitoring Iran's deteriorating economy. He then stresses that Iran is in very bad shape financially and is struggling to pay its troops. According to him, the economic impact of the conflict on Americans has eased as oil prices have fallen to slightly above $75 a barrel. Now, so far, there are no indications on whether the conflict will de-escalate in the near future. More updates, tvsarawak.my and TVS Inspire. Cheryl, you're up.
Thanks, Yusuf. And now on to other developments. Wildfires have raged for an 8th day in Indonesia's Bromo Tengger Semeru National Park, destroying more than 500 hectares and threatening nearby communities. The blaze has forced the closure of the popular tourist destination in East Java, with a scorched area now equivalent to more than 700 football fields.
Authorities says the fire had spread towards residential areas in Dingklik Valley as firefighters, soldiers and forest rangers battled the flames with the help of water-bombing helicopters and drones equipped with sprinklers. Efforts to trigger rain through cloud seeding have been ruled out for now because of a lack of clouds over the area. Mount Bromo is an active volcano and is a popular tourist destination and best known for its Sand Sea Caldera. The national park covers over 50,000 hectares. Indonesia is facing a prolonged and intense dry season, with the weather agency warning of heightened drought and wildfire risk linked partly to El Niño. More than 107,000 hectares of land have already burned across Indonesia in the first half of this year, more than double the area destroyed by wildfires in 2023.
A new wave of cheaper, high-performance Chinese AI is intensifying competition, with Silicon Valley forcing US AI giants to cut prices as they fight for users and market share. OpenAI has slashed fees by 80% for its latest lightweight model, while Anthropic has launched a model offering near top-tier performance at half the price.
At the same time, Chinese AI firms are gaining ground globally, with their open source models increasingly used by businesses and programmers. DeepSeek, whose version 4 Flash currently leads usage on technical platform OpenRouter, has announced plans for a significant increase in prices for programmers as demand grows. In Beijing, the AI boom has even spilled into the nightlife scene, with the AI-themed AGI Bar offering customers free access to DeepSeek. The bar, a meeting spot for developers, founders, and investors, features Chinese AI logos on its walls and tech-themed drinks, a sign of how deeply AI has become embedded in China's tech culture.
At the age of 86, Mehmet Kusman is still chasing the voices of a civilization that disappeared more than 2,000 years ago. With little formal education, Kusman taught himself to read the ancient inscriptions carved into black basalt walls of Çavuştepe fortress in eastern Turkey. One inscription reads, "Before me there was nothing, but by the power of the god Haldi, I founded this city." Now we leave you with this story as we wrap up the Nightline. I'm Shulsha Maito. Thanks for watching.
For decades, Kusman has devoted his life to this ancient fortress and to the lost language of Urartu, the kingdom that once stretched across parts of modern-day Turkey, Iran, and Armenia. He is determined to keep its words, gods, and rulers from being forgotten. Brisk on his feet and sharp of mind despite his years, Kusman walks among the ruins under the hot eastern Turkish sun, stopping at the foundations of a temple dedicated to Haldi, the warrior god and chief deity of Urartu. Kusman's journey began in the 60s after his military service, when he was hired as a laborer on the Çavuştepe excavations.
Olarak işe girdim. Kazma kürekle bir hafta içerisinde profesör bana gitti. Gelirken Mehmet Kuşman sen buranın bekçisisin dedi. O şekilde bekçi görevini aldım. Evet, 40 yıl 9 ay hizmetim oldu.
When he told the head of the excavation that he wanted to learn the script, he was discouraged. It was considered too difficult, a cuneiform writing system borrowed from Assyrian. So he began copying inscriptions uncovered during archaeological excavations across the region. He studied them on his own, painstakingly piecing together the alphabet and vocabulary of a language that had long fallen silent.
Van Kalesi'ne çıktım. Orada çok yazılar var. Hem Asur var, hem Urartu var. Oradaki yazıları topladım. Yeteri kadar çıkmadı. İran'a gittim. İran'daki yazıları da topladım. Türkiye'de adım adım hepsini dolaştım. Suriye'ye gittim. Kuzey Suriye'deki yazıları da topladım.
Guzman says it took him just 3 years to master the alphabet, but learning the vocabulary was another matter. It took him 22 years to master just 650 words.
Allah 3 yılda alfabe, 3 yıldan sonra lisana başladım. 22 yılda lisan aldı. Çok zorluk çektim. Yollarda kaldım. Bazen aç susuz kalıyordum çünkü maaşım yetmiyordu. 70'lerde Türkiye'de 20 kişi fevkalade Urartuca'yı biliyorlardı. Ama şimdi Türkiye'de beni de sayarsanız 7 kişiyiz.
Today, those painstaking efforts have made Guzman an unusual guardian of Urartu's forgotten language, keeping alive fragments of a civilization that might otherwise remain locked in stone.